And we're back for game number 2 of our first best of 3 of the day. First of 4, as a matter of fact. It's Fnatic facing off against Virtus Pro, the winner of which will advance to meet Na'Vi. And our second match, which is heading your way just a couple of hours from now. This is our Bubble Race playoffs, West and East both today. And our East will kick off at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully everyone could join us for that as well. Still a lot of action ahead, not just in the West, but here in this series as well. Fnatic leads 1-0. Virtus Pro banning out the IO quite wisely this time around. Fnatic answers with a Venomancer pickup of their own. Didn't work out so well for VP in Game 1. They'll look to put that to their own use. And Weaver going to be joining Veno. Crystal Maiden and Abaddon. Very early Abaddon pickup for Virtus Pro. To break down this draft and, of course, lend his insight and analysis, as always, welcome in once again, Ben Merlini Wu.
How's it going? And I do know that VP likes their Abaddon. They often pair it up with Viper and with the Weaver on the side of Fnatic. There's not too many other heroes that are like excellent with Abaddon. We'll see whether they or not they want to go. Maybe a super tanking strategy with Abaddon and Stream Protector. Not something that we've seen too often, but it is something that I've seen before. Fnatic with a much more standard draft. Venomancer, one of the best supports in the game right now. He is super hot. And Weaver. OD ban out, I think that's a very smart ban. I've seen VP use it a couple of times, and they really need to try. Fnatic needs to try and get a better hold of their solo lanes. Alchemist, I think that was more of a hero matchup rather than Hani playing poorly. He didn't really get that much CS, but he also didn't die, and he got a solo kill. But at the same time, like G still got a lot out of the lane. He had a fairly fast Blink Decker, he had a fairly fast Hex, and he still got a lot of kills around the map. So I think they could just put more lane dominators in their solo lanes and just take the game really easily.
Yeah, Virtus Pro with the Abaddon pickup, that's always kind of chancy. And you and I have actually seen the hero a few times here in the D2L, and we've talked about him extensively. He's one of those heroes that in the right hands, in the right situation, you can see just completely take a game over. But for a while, he was hot, then he fell off for good reason. He just has this all-in kind of a feeling to him unless he's able to pair up with one hero in particular, one hero in the composition, and try to make something happen. And taking a look at the options available to Virtus Pro, as you mentioned, Viper would certainly fit in quite well. Timbersaw is another hero that Abaddon can work very well with, especially if he's given a lot of early farm priority, able to get up a couple of good items. Abaddon's Aphotic Shield in conjunction with Reactive Armor can make that hero almost impossible to kill. So Fnatic, I mean, right now it's up to them. I mean, when I see a Crystal Maiden and an Abaddon, we're actually going to see the brand new model Gyrocopter. Love the way that Gyro happens to look now as well. But, yep, and there's the Viper pickup and answer. So I'd say, the Gyrocopter, not a huge surprise. Fnatic does use the hero very effectively, and I really like to see a hero like a Gyro paired with a Weaver. Weaver does need some time usually to farm up at least one item, usually a Lincoln Sphere or a BKB, depending on what the hero matchups happen to be. And Gyro's just one of those heroes that even if he has a poor start, can show up the fights and make a difference with the power of Call Down and Rocket Barrage. So Fnatic giving their Weaver a little bit of room to breathe here.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah. Gyrocopter, very safe and solid pick. I'm surprised they didn't ban out the Viper just because it's so predictable coming out from VP. But at the same time, not the biggest hero to give in the world just because we saw how useless Viper was last game. And VP still missing, I guess, or 2 solo laners. It could be, I don't know. They probably might go for something like they did last game. Doom is very, very good versus Weaver. Pretty good versus Nick Assassin. They could also go for a Life Stealer, just very safe and sound pickup.
Right now, Fnatic's just going to be able to get out, get active very early. Virtus Pro, yep, I was going to say, I don't know why they wouldn't pick up the puck here for 2 games in a row, just because God did have a standout performance in Game 1, as you had mentioned. As of right now, not super clear who's going to be mid for Fnatic. They've got a number of heroes who could take on that role. Nyx Assassin. We've seen Hani take Nyx mid a number of times. Gyrocopter can even fill that role sometimes. Weaver certainly can do well there as well. So the lane option's very wide open for Fnatic, whereas Virtus Pro, I think it's pretty obvious what they need. They need Viper to have a much better start than we saw in Game 1. Not sure that it's going to be Light of Heaven farming the hero again, but I mean, it's when you look back at Game 1, it's easy to see how things got out of hand for VP early because they gave away so much early. At one point, they were down 4-0 following that solo kill of God's Puck in mid by Hani, just something that shouldn't have happened to begin with. if they managed to break even through the first 10 minutes, their lineup did match up against Fnatic's okay
10 seconds
in the
remaining.
mid-game phase. So I feel like this is going to be another one of those games. They just need to play careful, make sure you get your Viper and your Puck a good start, let Crystal Maiden roam a bit, let her get what item she wants, but more importantly, get her levels. And they're going to be in decent shape, I think, to match up with Fnatic.
Yeah, I think that VP's lineup is pretty good right now. Nyx Assassin is not astounding versus any of VP's heroes. It's pretty hard to hit that stun. Like Puck has phase shift, Viper. He's pretty difficult to kill as is. You don't really want to be going on him. And there's Abaddon to back him up too. Abaddon you can't really kill either. So I don't particularly like the Nyx Assassin pickup. But then again, I did see them destroy Aspera yesterday with a Nyx Assassin Gyrocopter dual lane versus a tri lane. So I mean, they just pull things out of their hat that I don't expect.
Waiting on their 5th pickup now. We can say they do ban the Doom away from Virtus Pro with that 5th ban, and VP not going to give Fnatic another Alchemist. Instead, they're going to go ahead and grab the Darkseer. So easy to see what they're trying to put together here. Vacuum into call down, always powerful, especially if you can vacuum call down and then catch a multi-hero Gale. And Drow Ranger actually going to be the pickup.
Oh, they used this Drow Ranger yesterday, except it just did not work out at all.
Yeah.
So,
well, why don't you break that down for us? Why didn't it work out?
It was versus like a Timbersaw, a Blink Magnus, and a Blink Enigma, and a Lifestealer. So pretty much all of them had ways to close the distance, and it was just really ugly how the game turned out. So she got a lot of farm too in the early game. She had like Treads, HOD, Yasha at a reasonable pace, maybe like 13, 14 minutes. But yeah, her ultimate is just not very useful, especially versus heroes that can close the distance. Like Honey on the Weaver can close the distance very easily. Anyone with Surge, Gyrocopter had her. If she's able to attack the Drow Ranger, then that means that marksmanship will also be negated. So all in all, I don't really like Drow Ranger as a hero. Maybe if you want to use her in a push strategy, I think it's okay. But for the most part, it is just not very effective.
We can see both teams moving out, and looks like it will be the stand-in Illidan farming the Drow Ranger. She makes her way down the bottom lane. We'll see how the rest of the lane takes shape. Looks like it is going to be 2-1-2, as Arzard is making his way down there as well. Already Jotum scouting around the Radiant side secret shop with Light of Heaven. Once again back on the Viper, going to need a much better performance out of him on this Viper if Virtus Pro really wants to have a chance against a team like Fnatic. Era will be on our Gyro. They're moving as 5 throughout their own jungle now, so we'll wait and see. It doesn't look like anyone's going to cross, so we'll do a full lineup run through. As we mentioned, Illidan on the Drow Ranger, Light of Heaven back on Viper. God, for the second game in a row, looked to have a repeat performance on Puck, as he was really one of the bright spots for Virtus Pro in Game 1. Joan on the stand-in here on Abaddon, and the other support will be Arzard on our Crystal Maiden, looking all princessly, hanging out in the Radiant jungle right now. Horn blows, and we'll take a look at Fnatic flying. Going to be handling our Venomancer with the Nyx Assassin, played by No Tail. Gyrocopter, as mentioned, will be hard farmed by Era. The Darkseer pick will be handled by Trixie, with Weaver taken in mid by Hani. And, you know, this is something every time I see it, I like a little bit more. Really do like a solo mid Weaver.
Yeah, it's pretty good. He has fairly good rune control too, can almost always get to the rune faster than another person, and he's just extremely difficult to kill. The one downside to it is that you don't have that much chasing room, but that is kind of negated by the fact that you can pick up DDs and just solo kill people very easily.
We can see some early warding by Jotum, and the immediate block of the spawn here on the pool camp. He'll be jumping back in the lane. Now, this is a lane that Light of Heaven cannot afford to lose, and I'll let you break this down. You said you saw them run something very similar, a Gyrocopter and a Nyx Assassin, and they just owned with it. Explain to me why this is such a troublesome matchup here for Jotum and Light of Heaven.
It was pretty much just the other team not playing very well. It was not a tier 1 team in Aspera, so... And they did play pretty well. They managed to like solo kill kill a Weaver. They kind of did some shenanigans like that. But overall, the lane is not that strong. Gyrocopter plus Nyx Assassin.
Well, speaking of strong lanes, this is going to be a lot of push for Fnatic in this bottom lane between Ion Shell and you can see the problem right now. Illidan, until he hits 6, just is not going to have that much damage to melt down these Ion Shelled creeps. And the more levels Fly gets, and I'm actually surprised he hasn't put a point in Plague Ward yet, they're going to be able to push this lane very, very hard. We can see AA doing his thing in the jungle. He's up to level 2, but he's going to have to get his levels quick fast. Otherwise, this tower is just going to melt.
Yep. Yes, he is. And checking out the mid matchup, looks like Hani's doing pretty well. So is G. Nothing too special going on. But yeah, Illidan's under a lot of pressure, and they might even dive him. Like level 2 Drow Ranger without anything, what is she going to do? Not really anything.
Yep, definitely needs a bit more help than she's getting. A pre-runing here at the bottom spot. We'll spot a regen, and we'll go ahead and grab it. So not a whole lot of aid going the way of either team here in mid. Taking a look at how it's matching up. Weaver, played by Hani. He's got 10 CS to the 7 of God, so he's making this matchup work out quite well. Light of Heaven, though, off to a much better start. He's already up to 8 CS, and even throwing out a bit of harassment while he has time.
Yep, looks like, yeah, I'm just watching Illidan on bottom. We could potentially see a tower dive come out any second. Even in a one-on-one matchup, I don't think that a Drow Ranger does that well. Maybe once she gets level 6, you could just right-click the Ion Shell, creep down very, very quickly. But yeah, it's just not the best.
Here we go.
Not the best laning.
TP coming in. Illidan's going to be our first blood for sure, though. And AA TP'd in out of the jungle and really could contribute very little. Trixie will go ahead and eat himself a tango.
Yeah, did he even have Frostbite up?
No, he didn't. He didn't have the mana. He had just used it on a small centaur in the jungle as he was jungling up that hard cap. They're going to catch Fly, though. Just enough mana to get that off one last time. Can Illidan close the distance? Nope. Fly will be able to slither his way to safety, so almost a nice little catch there, but in the end, big win for Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, Drow Ranger, no defensive mechanism, and they just left her down there alone versus a dual lane, and a decently strong dual lane at that. So I'm just not sure what VP is going for with the Drow Ranger pick. Maybe they had a lot of success with it in scrims, but even theory crafting-wise, it just is not that good of a hero.
Especially against this team. I mean, one of the strengths you can get out of Drow Ranger is, obviously she helps you push early on, and she makes you a very mid-game-centric team by nature. But she's a very effective ganker. She can move very well, especially the more points you get in ice arrows, as we can see. 2 points in the frost arrows already for Illidan. Problem is, there's so many escape mechanisms or ways to turn that around on her, which you've already talked about. I mean, what are you going to do? Try to track down Hani with Shikuchi? You take a look at the Darkseer, who can surge himself and anyone else to safety. The Nyx Assassin with Carapace is a very tough target as well. So there's just not a whole lot that they're going to get out of Illidan until they start running as 5 and getting as much as they can out of what they hope will be a very quick 6 for Illidan. A lot of damage coming out at a single target and hopefully a lot of push power.
Yeah, some people say like the utility from the silence is decent too, but there's just so many other better heroes with lockdown too, and just because silence is just owned by BKB, and most likely like Gyrocopter almost always gets BKB. And in that carry fight, it's just not going to work out. And Dro needs a BKB herself too, and with that, she still won't do as much damage as a Gyrocopter. And Gyrocopter does a lot more damage without farm too, just because he has a plethora of spells to rely on. Drow Ranger may die again here.
Yep, caught out.
Oh wait, no, actually Trixie doesn't have any mana.
And Illidan throwing out the ice arrows. There was some help coming from Jotum as he does toss out the heal as well. Light of Heaven in the meantime continues to farm very effectively. Now this is going very well elsewhere. I mean, that bottom lane, we've kind of harped on what a problem
Era
it's
might
been.
die.
And up at top, Era pursued out, will end up, salving through that last little bit of damage. Very close call for him, so...
3 HP, dang. That's when you don't need 3 crows of skin to Light of Heaven. When you're in a position like this and you're playing aggressively, you don't need it. You can go like a 2-2-1 build is generally the consensus when you're in an offensive position. I mean, he is in the off lane, but at the same time, he has longer range than Era, and he has a CM backing him up, which is much more useful than a Nyx.
We're going to see a gank attempt. There's a surge off the homing missile and the impale on the mark. Great follow-up on the stun. Rocket Barrage doing excellent damage in Light of Heaven, who was off to such a good start, at least in comparison to Game 1. Ends up feeding a bit of it back there, and could definitely see the power of it now. That was actually kind of cute, for lack of a better word. Surge Era after the homing missile, let him get there just in time to follow up the impale with the homing missile stun and a lot of Rocket Barrage damage. Now AA just going to walk into some very sketchy territory, eats an impale, and dies for free. What is he doing?
I have no idea. VP needs to get their stuff together though, because they are just giving up free kills. That was a kill that should not have been given away.
And Fly pursuing out Jotum. Won't chase him too far though. But yeah, that one was literally just a gimme. Just walked into dark territory, knowing the Darkseer was had been there just moments ago, and having not seen him resurface anywhere on the map. And mental mistakes can cause big problems, and they find themselves in a hole much like they did in Game 1. They're down 3-0, 6.5 minutes in, give or take, in the gold. And certainly not insurmountable by any stretch, but you don't want to find yourself trailing to this team from Fnatic. I mean, you've already got a bit of a sketchy pick in the Drow Ranger, who really does need a lead to keep a lead. And just not giving her that early on makes it very tough to come back in the mid-game.
She's doing very well in terms of CS, though. On top of the CS chart, we see 3 VP heroes, Puck, followed by Viper, followed by Dro. Looks like Weaver has taken that 3rd place slot, but they're doing pretty well in terms of CS. The gold graph is only 750 gold difference, even though Fnatic has a 3-kill lead. I like Hani's build with a Wraithband and a Bracer, because you need as much stats as possible versus dual silence. They have the Puck silence as well as the Dro silence, and he just needs to be able to survive until he has Shikuchi. And they only have one thing that can really back him up, which is the Darkseer Surge. And that's usually not enough to keep him alive.
We can see Drow has hit level 7 now. Her damage is going up a bit, hitting for about 145 a shot. And I would imagine they'll want to get her active. I mean, depending, she's already got treads up. I mean, Shadow Blade's an option in terms of item build, BKB an option. Even a Hand of Midas I've seen done a handful of times if they wanted to do that. Don't think that's the direction they want to go. Darkseer, though, will be picking up a Midas as he's already got his recipe and only about 100 gold away now from finishing out the Midas in its entirety. But this just feels much like Game 1. Fnatic, I think, is just going to build a few Hand of Midases and be pretty happy about it because they feel like the early game has gone sufficiently their way.
Yeah, they're not keeping up. They're still not keeping up pressure on the Drow, though. I think they can draw the CM down there or the Puck, and then Hani can either push the tower on mid, or they can play aggressively on the Viper on top. And I think that would go a very long way to securing Fnatic's mid game. But letting Dro come back from that early death is just not the right choice.
Nice gank here in mid. God spent the coil, got the silence off, and a little bit of burst help coming out from Arzard's Crystal Maiden. So they get their first kill on the board. Trixie will go ahead and rotate down the bottom in the meantime. He's going to hook back up with Fly. Now, Fly's almost level 7 as well, coming up on level 8 for Trixie. You take a look at the levels. You can see the tops on the board right now are the Drow Ranger and the Puck from Virtus Pro, but the supports are beginning to get a bit over-leveled in comparison. Era, though, is suffering a little bit, but so is Light of Heaven. So Light of Heaven's still just at level 6 based on that death. And, I mean, early on, we're coming up on 10 minutes now. Things are staying relatively quiet. Give me 1 or 2 keys for the next 10 minutes for both teams, Merlini.
Kill Dro from Fnatic, get level 6 on Nyx Assassin and start getting more kills. And I think that Hani should also try and start split pushing.
Not the best gank happening down here on bottom, to be honest. And Trixie taking some chances. Jonan was there to come in and help, but we're beginning to see Drow Ranger's punching power, and this is what she can and will always do if she could stay on par with levels, is just have a lot of right-click damage output.
What is Light of Heaven trying to do? He just tried to TP when Nyx Assassin had his stun, and he just completely wasted his TP even though he wasn't in any danger. So that was very strange.
And God in trouble. In his own jungle, he's going to phase shift out. And a couple of right clicks, bottling through. Shikuchi is there. And Hani finds a kill behind the tier 1. And AA could be, I was going to say Hani does have a time lapse, but decided not to pursue it out. So 4-1, they managed to pick off Puck.
Yeah. And keeping Gods down is really, or keeping G down is really important too. He cannot get an early blink, or else Nyx Assassin and Weaver are going to have really big problems. No Tail's almost level 6 though, just a quarter of a level. So I think maybe after this wave, maybe he needs one more creep camp. Gyrocopter also going for a Midas, so looks like Fnatic just gearing up for the late game. They definitely have better late game. Drow Ranger, like unless she has like 3,000 or 4,000 more farm than Gyrocopter. Shouldn't be able to outcarry. In a strict one-on-one situation, she will be able to because she has Helmet Dominator, but come teamfight situation, Gyrocopter just does so much more AoE damage, and Drow Ranger is going to need constant babysitting from Abaddon.
Hani taking a lot of damage here behind his own tier 1. Went from 100% to about 25% just based on the right-click coming out from God's Puck, and they're going to need a lot out of him. So far, again, just past 11 minutes, about 1,000 gold, 2,500 experience or so. Still a very close game. And now, like you said, though, we're going to begin to see things begin to play out a bit more naturally. Nyx Assassin with level 6. The Drow Ranger has picked up a Helm of the Dominator. So tanking up a little bit, getting yourself a little more survivability. And I'm anxious to see what Virtus Pro wants to do here. They have to recognize, if not right now, at least in a moment or two, that they are up against a couple of minuses. They don't just want to be ground down in terms of pure gold gain again for the second game in a row.
I think they farm up BKB on Draw Ranger. They farm a mech on Viper and a blink on Puck, and then they can start fighting. It's pretty close. Puck just needs 400 gold. Viper already has most of the components in his inventory, and Draw Ranger is taking out a triple ancient stack right now. So those should all come pretty fast. And then after that, like Fnatic, they don't really have any big items coming. Maybe like a mech on the Darkseer in 1400 gold, but aside from that, there's not going to be that many game-changing items. Gyrocopter getting easy kill.
Well, we'll end up dead. God actually could be in some trouble. No reactions coming. He does have the aphotic shield, so one quick heal from Jodam. No tails there, though. Will spend the Vendetta and the Impale. And that's not that bad of a trade for Fnatic, all things told. Getting Nyx and kill right there and trading away Era's Gyrocopter.
Fly spent all his gold, or Era spent all his gold, too, right before.
Yep. And Hani continuing to just try to be a terror. He's actually got an Invis rune. And wow, Viper's actually going to find himself a kill elsewhere. Fly. Let's see. Where did he manage to find it? Down in the jungle. Down in the Radiant side jungle.
I don't know. Like, they have a ward there, too. He has Surge in case he gets Viper Struck. He has a TP scroll, or he should have a TP scroll, too. Not exactly sure how that death happened.
Light of Heaven, once again going for a early mechanism. No surprise to see that. He's on a much better pace here in Game 2 than he was in Game 1. And really, this is about as competitive as you could ask. Era's start has not been all they would have liked it to be. He's sitting at 68 CS. Compare that to the 90 for Drow Ranger at 14 minutes in. I mean, right now, Illidan, he's making the Drow pick work as well as he can, and this is what they need to do. Look how much damage he's already doing to this tower at just 14 minutes in with each shot. He's got to be careful, though. He's way up front with no magic immunity. And No Tail going to go ahead and spin the Impale. Got them both. And, way too far forward for that Drow Ranger. Borrowed time helps show him out. There's going to be the Poison Nova, Light of Heaven, in quite a bit of trouble. The tower does end up dying to Puck. Era will end up surviving just by the skin of his teeth. In the meantime, they're trying to track down God. Hani makes it a double kill following that. God spends all of his gold and picks up his Blink Dagger. Trixie's still looking for him. And Will up, unable to catch up with him. AA's right there, too. AA's got to be careful. And both of them make it away with maybe 200 HP to rub between the two of them. So Fnatic, though, with yet another win. It cost them Era, but they take down 3.
This is a very poorly placed sentry ward by the side of VP. If they're gonna place a sentry ward there, they need to stand on the north side of the cliff, not the south side. They were all clumped right around here. Nyx Assassin got a 3-man stun. Honey may die.
Illidan caught with the Gale. There's going to be a TP in, and that'll be Jodam. Throws out the aphotic shield immediately. And Puck manages to find himself a solo kill down on bottom. And Darkseer really is struggling so far. He picked up that Midas and looked good in the bottom lane. That's 2 kills in the last couple of minutes that really just feel unnecessary.
Yeah, it really is. Also, Venomissa could have blocked, like right here when Puck was trying to escape. He places his Venom Ward over here. He could have placed the block. Maybe he could have gotten a kill. It would have definitely stopped his Blink Dagger. But he had like 40 HP. He just needed a tiny bit of damage. But that could have gone a lot better for VP. Either a better placed Sentry Ward or the supports not getting 2-man stun. It was 2 heroes plus Drow Ranger that got stunned. And that's just an easy kill on Drow Ranger. Usually you have an Abaddon sit way in the back to Illidan.
Up. Dodges the Impale. And the rest of the team's there. This could be a big turnaround. Hani's going to Shikuchi away. No Tail. Uses Carapace, tries to run, but Frostbite there, and enough right click by Miles brings him down. And this Sentry Ward that spotted him out went down. It could not have been a quarter second before he actually crested that hill. So nice anticipation coming out of Virtus Pro.
Yeah, even with the Impale, I don't even think they go to kill them. They didn't have that much burst. Like, Weaver does, like, okay damage, but not enough to kill a 900 HP Drow, especially with the Abaddon backing it up. So, overall, VP playing pretty well this game, I'd say. Abaddon has just been sitting with a Drow for most of the game and just been at the right place at the right time. G has just been finding tons of kills, early Blink Dagger on Blink Dagger treads and bottle 60 minutes, and that is pretty darn good farm. And yeah, as you said, Trixie is struggling on that Darkseer. He had an 8-minute Midas, translates into a 16-minute Arcane boost after that. That is not the farm that you're looking for when you get that early Midas. They need a mech desperately so they can start taking early engagements.
Era going for a bit of a hybrid build. He actually picked up his Helm of Iron Will first, now has added an Ogre Club. Looked like he was going to replicate Drow Ranger's farming build with a Helm of the Dominator of his own, but
Ooh, Shadow Blade on Drow.
Yep.
This
I
is
like
different
this.
from what he went last time. Last time he went for a Yasha and a BKB.
I like this a lot. Tank her up a little bit. Now get the Shadow Blade. And Era going to be dying once again here in the jungle. Another nice pickoff for Virtus Pro. They're moving so much better here in Game 2, Merlini. Like, Game 1...
Yeah, they really are.
Game 1, they just seemed to always be out of position. You had supports that were just kind of running in circles, not getting a lot accomplished. And it seems like every time they ventured across the river, at least over the last 5 to 6 minutes or so, they've managed to make something big happen. They've narrowed the gap. And look at the gold. They actually lead this game after a start that looked like it was going to be much like Game 1. Fnatic now trailing, and the experience is actually getting close to the 0 line as well.
Yeah, Veno hasn't really been doing that much either. He hasn't pushed out any towers yet. He's only been involved in 2 kills, and they really need more damage from him. It's like No Tail's trying to find kills by himself, but he just doesn't have the lineup to back it up. With 2 Midases on his team, they're not really contributing that much to early fights. Hani trying to go for G, but will bait out a couple TPs and back off. But right now, they're on different game pages. No Tail is trying to play aggressively, Hani aggressively too, and then they have 2 Midases who are trying to farm up, and then they have Venomancer who is trying to split push. So they just need to get on the same page. VP is just doing a much better job of splitting up and doing different goals, right? Puck just getting solo kills here and there, Abaddon making sure that Drow Ranger gets her farm, and then they're using the occasional gank. And look at Illidan right now in the Roshan pit, just soloing it up with the smoke. So this is a very smart play from them, and they're using Drow Ranger much more effectively than I saw them use it last time.
Yep, even using the Alpha Wolf from the Helm of the Dominator for the extra bit of damage. Now going to go ahead and let the Alpha tank it. This is going to be a free Roshan, and Fnatic doesn't seem to have any clues it's happening. They might get a kill on God in the meantime. They're not going to be willing to trade a Roshan for that, though. And Illidan's still going to work in the meantime. We could see they did manage to get another kill under the Tier 1 top. They are going to take a tower, so as nice as it is that they took Roshan, that may have cost them a bit much. They gave up 2 kills and a tower for it.
Yeah, Illidan's just going to get a free kill on Fly and the T1 on bottom, though.
Let's see. He's hanging back. Fly knows something's up. Knows Roshan died, knows exactly who did it, and knows that he's the first target of priority coming out of that pit. And Illidan will go ahead and back, so...
I think he should have just backdoored that tower and then force a glyph if the TP just Shadow Blade out. They don't have detection right now just because he just picked it up.
Yeah. In the meantime, they do manage to keep the tower up, so all told, not a bad trade, and you can see that reflected in the gold graph. We're just about back to 0 between these two teams. The experience continues to favor Fnatic slightly. Illidan with the Aegis freshly picked up.
His gem on Abaddon too. That's a very important pickup.
Yep. Light of Heaven at 19 minutes in has his Blade of Alacrity. Really, they need him to get his Scepter up very quickly. It is essential that they get that Scepter up in time for the BKB.
I have no idea why he goes for the Blade of Alacrity before the point booster. The point booster is just much better for 200 gold.
Yep. I very much agree. But they're going to go in and assemble a push here. They've got God coming in from the rear. God's got about 1,800 towards his Scythe of Ice. And they're going to glyph out the Tier 1. They're going to try to get the deny here, and unable to do so. The creeps actually take that one. Fly catches an Ice Arrow. Now there's going to be a Surge, and the engagement on the Illidan. A Photic Shield keeps him alive. A little bit of help from Mistcoil to heal him up as well. Fnatic looks like they are willing to take this fight. They got to be careful, though. Virtus Pro is feeling very, very strong.
Yeah, if Puck goes in with a blink there, there's 2, maybe 3 heroes dead. So I think they should just try and push out the wave with Flat Cannon, Venom Wards, Ion Shell, things that won't put them in danger, and just counter push, or split push rather.
Yep, and that's probably what we're going to see Hani doing. He is going BKB first, after his treads anyway, and there's a silence onto him, but it's late in coming, so he does manage to make it to the high ground. Illidan is playing very brave once again. Does have an Aegis spin if he wants to, but feel like they really do need to get a lot out of this Aegis. Era, not far from his BKB now, has his Ogre Club and 1,200 gold towards it, so he's about 1,800 gold, give or take away. Impales there, Illidan needing some of that damage. And they've got the tower down to about half health. This is the perfect way to do this for them. Just make use of Drow Ranger's innate abilities, start clearing out map control.
has fallen.
Yeah, that was a very good succession of events by VP. They didn't really get the best Roshan trade, 2 kills and a tower for Roshan, but now with the Aegis, they've taken two towers and probably a third after that. Hani may die. He doesn't have enough mana for a TP right now.
Yep,
Actually, what is he doing?
Doesn't have enough mana for anything. Just feeling a little too safe under his own tower. Jumped on, silenced out, coiled out. And that's a free one going the way of VP. 3 minutes on that Aegis.
Yeah, I just have no idea what Weaver was doing there. That was not smart. He's just playing too greedy. If you have mana for a Shikuchi and a TP, I think it's okay. But not when you don't have mana for either.
Just look at this tower fall. Down in a hurry. They're going to try to trade the tier 1 mid. There will be no glyph. They're going to go ahead and push through. Now, this is Fnatic's really got to pick their fight. They will not outpush this squad at this stage of the game. They just won't.
Yeah, they can try and force TPs back. If VP pushes the T3, they should get the T2 in time, and then they have to defend. But as right now, they can't defend. While Hani's down, they have the Aegis. It's just too much.
I mean, the push power, we see just how immense it is. And they're going to try to shove this out, or at least slow it down. Yep, they have to come back. Don't even get to tier 2. Tier 2 remains at half health. So not the best trade from Fnatic. And tier 3 now under assault. They've still got a number of minutes until Glyph's back available. Illidan will eat the homing missile right in the jaw. And Fly making his way back up the hard way, walking all the way back up. This is a very important fight. There's a vacuum on Illidan. He's down to a half health. No follow-up, though. They know he still has the Aegis. Going to have it for another minute or two. We see how quickly he is healed up between the healing potential of Helm of the Dominator as well as Miscoil. And looks like...
I don't think they're strong enough to push up the T3, though. I don't really know why they're using this much time to do so. They got a good amount of damage on it because the glyph is down, but still, Illidan still has less than 1,000 HP. So if Abaddon is just slightly out of position, or they get caught by a 2 or 3 man impale or a 2 or 3 man vacuum into a call down, it could just go really, really poorly for them. I think VP knows that, and they have a pretty good control in the game right now. 4,000 gold difference, taking down almost all of the T1s and T2s from Fnatic, and Fnatic really trying to scramble to pretty much just turtle into the late game.
Well, Illidan's sitting on an absolute trust fund. His farm is so large, it's got smaller farms orbiting it at this point, at least in comparison to the rest of the map. He's got 4,500 gold sitting in the bank. What do you think? You think this is a straight-up tank-up kind of a situation? Maybe go Satanic?
Butterfly?
Yep, I was going to say or Butterfly, something like that.
Butterfly, I think, is better. As long as they only have, what, 1 stun besides homing missile, so they have an impale. As long as he gets shielded from the impale, he can just whack away. He doesn't really need BKB. This game just, if the Abaddon can keep him alive and with the puck initiate too. So I think that Drill Ranger is going to destroy the Fnatic heroes pretty soon, just because she's just been farming so much faster. And again, this goes back to the game plan from Fnatic. Hey, we have an early game lead. Let's farm it up and try and outfarm a Drill Ranger who had a really bad start. Instead, they could have just bought an early mech on Trixie instead of the Midas and then taken down the T1s instead. Looks like they're trying to... G has a haste. This is probably going to go pretty poorly for Fnatic. They do have the BKB pickup on Gyrocopter. I don't think that's enough, though.
And they're going to go ahead and back. And Light of Heaven's going to be the last man out. And here we go. BKB showed off on Hani. Hani eating some damage. He has Viper struck through it. They're going to go right after Illidan. There's a vacuum into the call down. Light of Heaven uses mech. He's healed up through Miscoil. No-Tail now eating a lot of damage. Here comes the freezing field from AA. Gets off a lot of damage through it. They finally managed to track him down. 2 for 2 the trade. Illidan, though, just doesn't have the survivability. Use the BKB. This is the sort of situation where I think I would...
the Aegis just ran out.
Yep. No, the Aegis ran out a few seconds ago, actually.
Oh, that is very unfortunate for them. And yeah, Dro, like, once her BKB's down, and even with Abaddon up, she doesn't really do that much. She's just forced to turn tail and run, even with a pretty large farm difference.
Yep, that's kind of why I was thinking something along the lines of a Satanic. Tanks you up innately because of the Reaver pickup and gives you a chance to turn and fight in a situation like that just because of how far ahead you are. Instead, though, Fnatic takes a big, big win. They take a tier 1 off of it. They might try to take a tier 2 as well. Still 20 seconds until Drow's up. And the problem you have whenever you've built the way that Light of Heaven has, he's actually gone Sanj and Yasha, or he's actually gone Yasha. He's looking for an S and Y. Is he just doesn't have any damage.
Oh, he went to Yasha? Are you kidding me? Ew. That is
gross.
That is gross. He needs a scepter just so he can. They have 2 BKB heroes, and as long as they can kind of survive the BKBs, then they should be okay. But they absolutely cannot. They took a lot of damage during Hani's just, hey, I'm going to face rush you with BKB. He Viper struck, he time lapsed it, and then that's that. Light of Heaven just gets caught out while his whole team is running away. But if you can just drop a Viper strike and then his whole team run away at the same time and force Weaver to come into them, and then after that, when they have another Viper strike up when they don't have BKBs up, that's just going to be so much more useful than what, like 15% attack speed and a little bit of movement speed when they're 5-manning all the time anyways. It's just not a great item pickup.
Very short respawn timer on Roshan. He's going to be back up in just about 30 seconds. Fly caught out on the high ground, shows off the Ghost Scepter for the first time, and does manage to escape to the safety and succor of his own teammates.
They have a sheep on G. I don't think that Fnatic knows that, though. They may be caught unawares.
Oh, there's the impale to follow it up. Cooldowns there. BKB forced out. They're going to go ahead and try to take this fight. They're trying to block Illidan in. There's a coil behind the fight that brought down 3 men, but there's no damage. They just aren't balanced enough. Illidan being pursued out by Hani, and the fight rages behind them. They're going to go ahead and track down Light of Heaven. That's going to be 2 down now for 1. Nyx Assassin, the one that died. Illidan being slowly healed up. But they're going to be able to pursue him out, and this is the problem we knew they would have, is they're just so top-heavy in terms of where their damage can come from. Era right on Illidan's tail, no BKB, and that's a double kill going Hani's way. And let's see, do they want a tower? They want a Roshan. Don't even know if there was a Plague Ward up
G.
there. They want God. They're on a mission from God, and they're going to bring down 4 by the time all's said and done, as Puck does end up dying as well. Poor Jotun left to scurry back to the well. And, yep, looks like they are going to go ahead and take the tier 2. Roche is back up when they decide to check.
As you said, they are very top heavy. They had to throw everything they have in the Drow Ranger. She has to pop her BKB, Shadow Blade, Mist Coil, Aphotic Shield, and after that, she still has to turn tail and run. And it's just not the ideal situation when you don't have any other damage coming from any of your heroes. And yeah, Viper, even with the Yasha, doesn't do any damage. He'll have BKB soon, but that doesn't really matter that much. CM doesn't have BKB, so you can't get her ultimate off. And even if she did, they would have BKBs of their own. Abaddon, he's just there to support the Drow Ranger, and if Drow Ranger can't attack, they lose a fight. But how is she going to attack when they can just close the distance so easily? And yeah, they were fighting in a really good position too. VP fighting up the hill in this and forcing Fnatic to come up with a choke is one of the best positions that they're going to get. And then aside from that, maybe they can catch Fnatic in the Roshan pit, but uphill into a choke, that is definitely a fight that VP should win. And with losing that fight, I don't really see VP winning another big team engagement. Maybe if they get the Aegis though.
Yep. Roshan gonna be the focus, and they know Roche is up as well. Bit of a standoff now as Fnatic gets into position. Era has become a much bigger influence. He's now doing quite a bit of damage. He's already got a Demon Edge. Heard a smoke go off on the other side of the pit. Virtus.pro going to try and catch a straggler. And in the process, they might give away a free Roshan if they're not very careful. Blink Dagger now picked up on Nyx, so his mobility much higher. Trixie's picked up a Mystic Staff on his way to a Scythe of Ice on his own. And Virtus.pro's just helping to catch Fnatic in a back. And Fnatic not taking the bait.
Knows that something's up, though.
Yeah. VP still hanging out. And Trixie going to surge himself and go looking for trouble. And so far the smoke's not popped. They still have a chance. There we go. Nice engagement on the Era. Coil going to catch shoot. Beautiful impale. Got 2 though. Illidan down to half health already. Pops the BKB. Vacuum into the call down. Mech goes up, but it's not enough. Fnatic just has too much well-rounded damage in comparison to Virtus.pro. Illidan will be able to TP out, but they lose 3 and they're about to lose Roshan as well. And you know, this again, it's just the innate limitations of a hero like Drow Ranger, especially when fit into this kind of a composition. They have to keep her alive, and they have to be able to stand and fight. They're still trying to track down God, by the way, but she gets separated out like that, they can do nothing but retreat.
Nice stun come from No Tail. Caught him out with the blink. Very predictable play by G there, knowing that he'd blink into the trees and TP out. But read like a book by Honey. He sent in the swarm and killed them. And that was a very nice counter initiate with the Blink Impale from Nyx Assassin, because what they were trying to do is blink and burst down the Gyrocopter before he can BKB. But Fnatic has too much counter initiate now, though, with a blink on Nyx Assassin, with a vacuum into the wall, and VP is just not going to win the BKB rushdown. Unless Fnatic is out of position, but they were all clumped very, very close together, and very nice play by them being able to execute even after the smoke advantage from VP.
And you could tell
AA is so dead.
Oh yeah. The way they're building is pure damage. Daedalus on the way for Hani. He'll have it very soon. Only has BKB. Has not got any other survivability items. Just because, as you mentioned, it all comes down to just who can trade more effectively for longer. The Drow Rangers simply cannot survive that much right click at this stage. Illidan's going to try to backdoor, but we'll see how well that's going to work out for him. Era is actually just about finished a butterfly now, so he'll have that on top of the Demon Edge he already has complete. And yeah, 23-11 this game. I mean, you take a look at the goal graph and the experience. The first 20 minutes of this game, Virtus.pro looked quite solid, but the last 10 minutes have been utterly disastrous. In excess of a 12,000 gold swing going the way of Fnatic, and the experience, which rode very close to the 0 line for the entire game.
No Tail's riding Illidan. Illidan should know that someone's on him because he doesn't have the marksmanship buff. Oh, he misses.
And
he hits that stun and he dies. He should not have hit out of Vendetta. I think he just straight impales and then he's dead.
And Era finishes his butterfly in the meantime. And looks like Fnatic's just about ready to put a cherry on this one. But I mean, all things considered, this has been a solid outing, I think, for Virtus.pro, given they are playing amidst all the roster turmoil that has plagued them. But I don't, finishing 5th in the D2L, and I hate to sound so fatalistic, but really at this point, we just saw right there, Illidan almost died to nothing but right clicks from really one hero. And No Tail is not going to spot out too. Spins the Impale, catches AA out, has a Carapace for survivability. We'll go ahead and use it. Here comes Hani, homing missiles there. And just going to take a small miracle, but looks by all accounts like Fnatic will be advancing to meet Na'Vi in our next round.
Miracle, I would say.
Illidan continuing to try to split push and buy time. Trixie's there, though. He's got his Shivas up. And we'll go ahead and use the Midas, and we'll have no problem delaying this out between Ion Shell and Shivas. Rest of his team holding down the fort here in mid.
Have you ever seen Drow Ranger do well?
Have I? I'm trying to think. It seems like I have, but it seems like it was quite a while ago. It was but back before she was even buffed, I want to say I saw it work out once.
I've seen her do well in one strategy, I think, which was a safe lane Drow with a Chen babysit, and then you take down a lot of early towers, and then just get her like so much more farmed. But there are a lot of other carries that can just do the same function. So I actually think Drow needs a buff. I think her ultimate, maybe half agility if someone's in range. Looks like Hani is going to get picked off. So VP breathing some life. I think maybe marksmanship 50% agility if someone's in that AoE range. So actually gives you something instead of nothing when someone's there, and maybe like slightly less cast point on her silence, because like Illidan has gotten silences on the Weaver, but he just Shikuchi's away because Shikuchi's instant cast. And versus a hero like Lifestealer 2 is also very popular. He's going to be able to raid before you get off the silence. And if you can't get off the silence, you're going to die, or you're not going to get a kill. Either of those, which are really bad. So, I don't think it should be instant cast. And a lot of times you have to like approach from fog, or you have to get a Shadow Blade so you can get the jump on them. And it's just very difficult to get kills as a Drow Ranger.
Maybe reduce the cast point, but also, reduce the cast point, but perhaps reduce the AoE of it slightly, something like that.
The duration is really long. 6 seconds is like way longer than you need for the most part. I would say reducing the duration is fine. Radius I think is okay. She should have like fairly large range for her spells since she's a ranged hero, and she's a lot.
We could see Virtus.pro trying to hold the line as best they can, and Fnatic. Fnatic's pretty good about not rushing for a win, even though they do have the Aegis. They will go ahead and bring down the last outer tier tower remaining. And, oh, Illidan caught out under his own tower, blink in, forced to blow his BKB, and still not going to save him. AA actually ate the homing missile as well. Rocket Barrage is there. Beautiful vacuum. Cooldown's there. Will connect on all three. Light of Heaven forced to blow his BKB as well. Jodam forced to use borrowed time. And Fnatic really just punishing some sloppy play by Virtus Pro. With Drow down for 48 seconds, she does not have buyback. This is at least one Rax, maybe two.
Yeah, and yeah, they kill Hani. Hani wasn't even there for that fight at all. He's still not there for the fight, and they can just bank on Era, who has ridiculous farm. He is 5,000 net worth above the Drow Ranger right now, and he has an Aegis.
You know, it is amazing how quickly this game just got away from Virtus Pro. Good vacuum, grabs two more. Coil will go ahead and snag a few. Light of Heaven will be kept alive by Jodam, but cooldown's there to help finish the deal, and Light of Heaven killed in the shadow of his own fountain. And heard a Poison Nova go off back here somewhere. Looks like Fly having a little bit of fun. Air still has the Aegis. We'll be happy to go ahead and spend it. And
it's almost expired. It's like 15 seconds left.
Yep, there's the very nice impale. Force Staff gets Air out of trouble. Freezing Field not going to do much. And they still haven't brought down the rack, so a little bit of hubris showing now. They will be forced out. Fly's going to end up being slowed to nothing. And Era caught out and silenced, so little bit of, I used the word again, hubris, as they dove back to the well instead of sealing the deal. But they did manage to get two melee racks out of it, so can't say they did too bad there.
Yep, they can just wait for next Roshan, Aegis cheese, and take the game from there. If they really want to wait for it. Drow Ranger almost has her butterfly, but still they're grasping for straws right now. The respawn time is 50 seconds on Gyrocopter. He still has his buyback too, if necessary. So even though that's a small victory for VP, the damage has been done. Two melee racks, as you said. Range racks on the top lane almost dead too. And maybe Drow Ranger with her like global aura, that was pretty nifty too.
Mm-hmm. Tell you what, it's been a nice game for Hani and for Era. Between the two of them, they've accounted for 20 of Fnatic's 28 kills across this game. We're coming up on 40 minutes in, and should be the last chance that Virtus Pro really has to make something happen. With two lanes now missing melee racks, anytime they leave their base, it becomes a very chancy proposition indeed. And looks like Fnatic anticipating it. They're just hanging back. They know that Virtus Pro needs to get out and make something happen. And if nothing else, they've just got Roshan time. They'll start checking around sometime soon. Just move out to the secret shop, set up shop, and look to take a Roche fight and finally end the game that way.
Darkseer's a Scepter too, pretty strong. Scepter is like decent here. It's not like the best. I think like Sheep would be really good just so they can straight up kill the puck very, very easily. But not a bad pickup. And it's really good at making illusions of Viper too, because Viper shares the corrosive skin on illusions. So if you make an image of him, like everyone on the enemy team gets corrosive skin, it's really annoying.
Roche is actually going to be respawning very quick. This might be the fastest respawn I've seen in terms of the random element. 20 seconds. All the time it's going to take, so they'll probably be shocked. They're actually going to see this maybe just as he respawns. As soon as Fly, throws one more in there. They're going to go ahead and leave and double back immediately. And poor Virtus Pro is way out of position. They're not going to be expecting a Roshan to respawn this quick at all. And let's see if Fnatic just decides to go ahead and take it.
Yep, they definitely saw it because they killed the Venom Ward. And no one pinged it out though. They might have not saw it.
Yeah, I think they probably just saw the Venom Ward go down and just said, well, it died. Yeah, there's no way that they would be not taking this right now if they knew absolutely it was there. And like you said, nobody pinged it out. Looks like they just want to go ahead and rush down the last rack, so.
Yeah, should be on Venomancer. He should be paying attention to his wards because it lasts 40 seconds. He just popped it down. It lasted maybe like 20, so he should know, oh, well, my ward is dead. Even if he wasn't actively watching it, he should know that something was in there.
Somebody just pinged it. Looks like, that was No Tail, I think, that actually just pinged that out. Yeah, now they're falling back.
VP has to take this fight though. If they don't take this fight, then they can just zerg down Drow Ranger, and then it's game over from there. Drow Ranger does have a butterfly, but MKB already built on a gyrocopter, so not the best item there. And VP no position to contest. Oh, they have a smoke, but I think they were just going to kill too fast.
Yep. Yeah, they definitely missed it the first time. That time, as soon as the ward went down, he pinged it out. So definitely just missed it. This will be Cheese and Aegis going to Fnatic. Virtus.pro going to be tardy to the party as they smoke, but don't even make it into the river in time. And that'll be Arrow with the Aegis. He's got an MKB done as well, just in time to deal with Drow Ranger's Butterfly. So she's still going to be in a lot of trouble. Hani has picked up the Cheese. And Fnatic with a smoke of their own now, looking to catch someone out. AA going to be spotted. Blink Dagger, Impale, and the Mana Burn. This should be the end of that. There's a nice silence. Caught a couple, but in the end, Homing Missile plus Shiva's Guard, enough to force a buyback. And Fnatic now rattling their saber just in the shadow of this, looking to punch their ticket into the second round of our Bubble Race playoffs. Here we go. Era leads the way. Down goes the ranged racks in mid. They've got a naked ranged racks at top if they want to go for that. Looks like it'll be Hani bringing that down, and Virtus.pro down to their last set of racks. Up, here we go. Scythe on the no-tail. There's a two-man coil. BKB forced out. They'll be managing to pick off the Nyx Assassin, forcing BKBs out of Light of Heaven and Illidan, but it's really not going to matter. Era has an Aegis. He can trade away. Beautiful vacuum into a three-man wall. Illidan cleaned up following the blink. AA got off a freezing field, but it just doesn't matter. Jodam once again scrambles to the well, and that'll be that. A 42-minute game. Virtus.pro looked great for about 20 minutes of it. Then between 22 and 32 minutes, this game utterly in Fnatic's favor. They win 2-0 and move on to face Na'Vi in the second round of our Western Division Bubble Race playoffs. And I'll be honest with you, Merlini. VP, I mean, Fnatic certainly looked good. They certainly walk away with a well-deserved 2-0 win. I actually feel like VP looked better than most people expected, myself included.
They looked a lot better than I expected them to, and things just really went wrong for them once they lost that fight with the first Aegis. Up until then, I thought they had a pretty good shot at taking down that game, and Drow Ranger, maybe they'll make it work out someday. Last two games I've seen them, though, it's just not the right hero, it seems.
Yeah. 42 minutes, 40 seconds, the official game time, and a lot of kills going the way of Fnatic, 33, as they double up, more than double up. Virtus.pro standout performances from Era and Hani, who between them accounted for 24 of those 33 kills. Really not the best game for AA. 0-9-11 on Crystal Maiden, and really no other standout performances. Even Light of Heaven failed to break even in terms of KD. 6-7. The farm rate on Drow Ranger was immense, but they just never translated it into what they needed. 2-6-4, a couple of dumb deaths on the side of Illidan, and I like the phrase you used, the BKB rushdown. They just really didn't have the beef to stand up and deal with the BKBs once they came out on the side of Fnatic. Once again, Fnatic wins 2-0, bounces VP out as they finish 5th here in our Western Division of the HyperX D2L. And Fnatic now up against their second test of the day in Na'Vi. That'll be heading your way here shortly. Your host there in AC Chambers. It's going to be a long day of Dota, guys. Myself and Merlini will be here bringing you all of the action. Our first best of 3 is now behind us. Again, Na'Vi versus Fnatic coming up in just a moment. That'll be about an hour from now. And I hope you guys will stick around for that. If there's another, I'm sure there are other matches going on the Star Ladder or whatever. Make sure you go support them. But make sure you're back very, very soon. Really looking forward to that, as the winner of Fnatic versus Na'Vi will be advancing to take on Team Liquid in the final round of our Bubble Race. That'll be a best of 5 played out on Thursday, and our Eastern Division gets underway tonight as well. That'll be kicking off with DK versus Tongfu coming up at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you tune in for that. Once again, I'm your host there in AC Chambers, Merlini, my friend. Any last thoughts on our series here? I mean, Virtus.pro again really plagued by a lot of issues throughout our season. Managed to squeak their way into the playoffs. They do end up losing here in the first round. But again, an organization and a team full of players that we know will be good. I mean, again, I think we both agree, looked a lot better than we anticipated.
Yeah, I think that they are looking really promising, and I think that with some time they will be one of the top CIS contenders. Maybe work on their draft a little bit. I think a lot of it is just draft fail, but their play has been a lot better than I expected, and it certainly looks stronger than the previous VP.
Right. I very much agree. All right, guys, we'll be back in just about an hour. Once again, Fnatic getting the best of Virtus Pro 2-0. They meet Na'Vi coming up at noon Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central European Time. We'll see you then.